Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is lying in bed at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling. Their heart is beating too fast. Their mind won't stop. They have a warm bed, food in the fridge, no predators outside. By every measurable standard, they are safe. And yet, their body is screaming. Doctors call it anxiety. Therapists call it a disorder. Pharmaceutical companies call it a market. But what if none of them are right? What if that feeling, the restlessness, the dread, the sense that something is deeply wrong even when everything is technically fine, isn't a malfunction at all? What if it's your body doing exactly what it was built to do in a world it was never built for? Here's the number that should change everything. Among the Kaluli people of Papua New Guinea, a tribe still living close to the way humans lived for 300,000 years, researchers interviewed 2,000 people looking for clinical depression. They found one person out of 2,000. In the United States right now, that number is closer to 300. Same species, same brain, same body, completely different result. That is not a coincidence. That is a clue. Your brain was not designed for the world you live in. It was designed for a small tribe, a fire, a forest, and maybe one emotionally complicated mammoth. It was designed to wake with sunlight, move all day, hear familiar voices, and know who would notice if you disappeared. Then modernity showed up. Now that same brain has to answer emails, compare itself to strangers, sit still, buy insurance, and act normal under fluorescent lights. And when it panics, we call it weak. Maybe you are not lazy. Maybe you are not broken. Maybe you are an ancient nervous system being asked to live inside a spreadsheet. Your distress is not proof you failed. But here's what nobody tells you, and this is the part that matters. The solution is not to fix yourself, because you were never broken. Every single symptom of modern suffering has a direct evolutionary explanation. You can't stop scrolling because your brain evolved to scan for social information constantly in the ancient world. Missing a social cue could get you killed or exiled. You can't stop eating sugar because your brain evolved to treat sweetness as a survival signal. In the ancient world, finding honey meant surviving the winter. You can't stop catastrophizing at 3 a.m. because your brain evolved to run threat simulations during quiet waking periods. Researchers now believe those midnight wake-up windows were actually a feature, not a bug. You feel crushingly lonely, even surrounded by people, because your brain evolved for physical proximity, shared meals, eye contact, and touch, not text messages and reaction emojis. You feel purposeless because your brain evolved to feel meaning through visible, immediate, tangible contribution to a small group of people who depended on you, not through quarterly performance reviews and productivity metrics. None of this is weakness. None of this is failure. This is a body doing its job in a world that moved faster than evolution could follow. The ancient Juhanzi Bushmen of the Kalahari didn't have therapists. They had campfires. They had stories. They had 50 people who knew their name and touched their shoulder and sat with them in the dark. You lost the campfire. You got a glowing rectangle instead. And some part of you has been grieving that loss every single day without knowing what it was grieving for. Your body is not broken. It is extremely old, not emotionally, biologically. You carry a nervous system designed for small groups, daylight, movement, shared food, shared danger, and problems you could see. Then we put it inside traffic, rent, email, artificial light, global news, comparison, isolation, and a glowing rectangle saying everyone else is doing better. And when your body reacts, we call it a disorder. Very professional. For most of human history, anxiety was not an inconvenience, it was a smoke alarm. Depression was not a personal failure. It may have been a shutdown signal, a forced retreat, a way to conserve energy when social pain, loss, or danger became too expensive. These systems were not built to make you happy. They were built to keep you alive. Here is the part that should make the room go quiet. Among the Kaluli people of Papua New Guinea, researchers found about one case of clinical depression in roughly 2,000 people. In industrialized societies, lifetime rates are often closer to 1 in 7. 1 in 2,000, 1 in 7. That does not mean hunter-gatherer life was paradise. It was dangerous, painful, and brutally physical. But it gave the human animal things modern life quietly removed: movement, belonging, sunlight, tied to darkness, purposeful work, and grief held by others. Modern life often gives comfort without contact, stimulation without meaning, safety without calm.